Hello, everyone. Welcome to JMac Investing. We have a special treat today. We have Mark Frohnmayer, who is the CEO of Arcimoto, ticker symbol FUV. I wanted to give you a moment here, Mark, to just introduce yourself to my audience, who many of them are aware of you because I've made several videos on you. But just give you a second to introduce yourself and a little bit about your company.
Sure thing, Jason, and really appreciate you having me on your channel. So Arcimoto is a company I started about 13 years ago. And the goal really from the very beginning has been to build the right vehicle for everyday trips. There is a giant disconnect between cars and how we actually use cars, which is typically by ourselves or sometimes with another person traveling a pretty short distance. And so what we're doing and what we have been doing for a long time now is really refining down to what is a right-sized platform for mobility. And then, it took us like 8 years to get to what we think's the right idea. And then over the last 5 years, we've built that into a production electric vehicle company, moved through certification, built out a factory, and we're now delivering vehicles on that platform to our early customers. We've built out actually now a whole product family built on the same platform. So the Fun Utility Vehicle is our sort of our flagship product. We've got the Deliverator for last mile delivery, rapid responder for emergency services, and we just introduced the Roadster over the last couple of weeks, which is something I'm really excited about, just because it's sort of our first real entry into the pure fun machine category, and it is just an absolute blast to drive on the road. So
Yeah.
That's the high level overview, but ultra efficient vehicles for everyday trips.
No doubt, yeah, that's a good looking new machine you got, that prototype, for sure. And so, is that going to be fitting into the lineup soon, or are you still working out details on that?
So a week ago, we announced that it's actually officially in development,
Okay.
and we announced a couple of key development partners on the project. Corbin Pacific, who Mike Corbin is like motorcycle industry legend, has made saddles for a ton of amazing bikes over the years, and so he's designing the perfect seating saddle for it. And then we're working with National Cycle on the glass, but I think it's actually going to move through the development process pretty quickly. We have not yet announced a release date, but stay tuned for that.
Do you think that will there be any type of storage on that at all?
I think they're going to be, like the FUV, there'll be different options. So, the sort of the base model Roadster will have just a really, I would say, multifunctional rack that you can, bolt stuff down to or tie down to. And then like a motorcycle would have, you could envision saddlebags or rear storage cases or the like.
Gotcha. Very cool. Yeah. So it's exciting to see the lineup grow. I guess I should disclose it. I am an investor into Arcimoto, and but there's no affiliation between us.
Appreciate the support. That is, we've been powered to where we are by a whole community of people who are supporting the mission. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. As I survey the landscape, and I mean, as the last week or so has, where essentially anything with EV attached to it has just taken off like crazy. I'm still very, very particular and really try to find, because this whole market is really going to overtake the ICE, combustion engine market, but it's just going to be real interesting to see who are the actual winners, who's actually going to have longevity in the market. And so you're one I definitely, after doing my own due diligence, have decided I think has got everything in place to do that. So,
well, we at least have a track record of sticking around, and I think recently we've shown that we can make great strides forward even during what are extraordinarily challenging sort of global circumstances.
Right. And so your manufacturing is, or not your manufacturing, but where you put your machines together is in Oregon. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we actually go, we we have one facility here in Eugene, Oregon. We call it the AMP, the Arcimoto manufacturing plant, and we do both part manufacturing. So we do a lot of the metal parts of the vehicle, the tube frame, the chassis, the front clip, suspension arms, and so on. We actually manufacture all of those in our facility using state of the art cutting and forming tools for sheet metal and tube parts. And then we also have our product assembly line in the same space. So we kind of go from raw material through part making, machining, and then assembly, all under one roof.
Impressive. Okay. All right. Very good. And that's good to know. So of recent, I guess there was. I was want to kind of go ahead and get this out of the way. There was this share offering that the most recent share offering, which is to me it's a smart move as in a smaller company that's growing, taking advantage of the share appreciation. But so was this. Is this earmarked for something, or is this going to come out in time, or is this just to solidify the balance sheet?
Yeah, I think if you look back at our history of financings, we have been generally fairly opportunistic about taking small bites to make significant ground forward. I know this is not any different from that, other than we sort of started in when we reported the quarter. We were in sort of in the strongest position we've ever been in from a balance sheet perspective, and this was basically almost a double down on cash on hand. So it seemed a reasonable choice particularly given the run up that the stock had seen, and we found an institutional investor who really was willing to do it on terms that we thought made a lot of sense for us and for our shareholder base. So we've been if you saw the quarterly call, one of the things we're looking forward to for sort of the big scale production financing piece is a program at the federal government, the Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Loan Program. So we're aiming to really get the bulk of scale financing satisfied through non-dilutive treasury rate sort of facilities. But this allows us to move faster in the immediate term, really in a time when things are really cooking in the space.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. I thought it was even very conservative, even given the big picture as well. So I totally am in support of it as a shareholder, and think it's certainly the right move as well, in my personal opinion. Which doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, but some people need some assurance sometimes from
Well, yeah, and I would just say to all of our shareholders. I mean, I'm a significant shareholder in the company. I've never sold a share of Arcimoto stock. I'm very conscious of the equity value of our stakeholders, and have aimed from the very beginning not to dilute people out. So I appreciate the vote of confidence, Jason. So thank you. But I think we've struck a good balance.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. So I just want to talk about it's pretty easy if once you dive into Arcimoto, here's some of your different takes and the vision that you have, where you're taking the product and where you're taking the company. It's easy to see the vision and to see the use case of the FUV and then the different product lineups. But others who have not done their due diligence and have not really dug in, we were seeing it some on Twitter. Happened to be in a thread with you where a couple trolls were kind of trolling, who think it's a sort of a joke or a gimmick, because there are a couple other EVs that really EV companies, I won't name any names, but they don't make as much sense. Like a one-seater EV to me doesn't make that much sense, and there's some other players who have rolled something out like that. But so I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk to someone who had sort of that kind of mindset, not knowing really what the vision of what it could become. And I mean, like you said, it could even be something in an inner city that could overtake really, automobiles just in general.
Well, Galileo actually made a comment on this the other day that I thought was pretty striking. Is that you don't get a sense for it until you experience it in person. Oftentimes people will make sort of snap judgments on pictures that they see online that bear no resemblance to what your experience is when you're actually with the vehicle and you see how people respond to it. And I think that's one of the things that creates maybe some of this, sort of the enthusiasm gap, is that those who've experienced the product, if you look at the YouTube videos from early customer feedback on our channel, that you can see that it's really a profound experience for a lot of our customers and for ourselves. And so I think that just shows me that as more and more people actually experience it, you're going to see more and more of that realization coming to pass. And I think one of the other things that's nice about it is that people who look at our platform and look at sort of the story and the reasoning behind it suddenly start to notice the fact that they're carrying around 6 empty seats with them when they drive everywhere and going, oh, it sure would be nice to be much easier to park and to be able to maneuver better. And like those features actually sound pretty cool. So what really separates the Arcimoto is not what it looks like on the outside, but the real experience of it and what it can do.
Right. Yeah. The use case. Yeah. Use cases are endless for sure. Now, this is something I'm pretty excited about as well. Is this recently announced partnership with DHL, which to me seems like a real game changer, and I think you alluded to it as well. Not only for Arcimoto, but just the concept in general for EVs that may want to go the alternative route of not having to go through some sales network or some dealer network, and just be able to sell direct to consumer and to get it across the 50 states.
I mean, I think that's one. I would really credit DHL here for the sort of the out of the box truck thinking, where they figured out how to get it into the driveway, and it was it was just a clever solution using fleets of flatbed tow trucks, and that works. I mean, that works on any small form vehicle. So anything that's sort of Arcimoto size or smaller could in theory take advantage of that same delivery mechanism. And so to have a company that's a international shipping titan, say that be willing to take the time to make that interface work for our customers, is pretty cool.
Now, what's the timeline look like on that? Like, when would that partnership transpire? Where, let's say I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, I can order a FUV and get it shipped to me.
Yeah, I think, and so we have not made any announcements yet about expanded service territory, but stay tuned. There are multiple pieces to that process. I mean, DHL has figured out how to actually get the vehicles there, but we also have to make sure that we have the service infrastructure in place so that our customers are well cared for when their vehicles show up. And that's probably the bigger piece of the puzzle in this moment in terms of what we're tackling. But we are planning to open up additional areas of the country as rapidly as we can.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Makes sense. Great. So I know you also have partnering with Sandy Monroe on getting manufacturing costs down, getting more efficient in the whole production of your vehicles. And I just wanted to kind of maybe pick your brain on, like, how does that play out as, like, let's say, the suggestions come your way through that process. How do they get implemented over the course of time?
Well, we're actually working with them, not just for suggestions, but actual heavy lifting engineering as well. So, and most of the effort is focused on how do we build this thing at 50,000 units plus per year, in terms of what are the right tools and technologies and methods and equipment to do each part of the vehicle at a much higher volume. And then what does the assembly line look like for vehicles at that volume? And that's really, they've gained a lot of notoriety for all the benchmarking work that they've done particularly on the Tesla vehicles. But they also do actual original product development. And I think that's more their real sweet spot is figuring out how to do it right the first time for a real mass production program.
So does that mean they would produce some of the parts themselves for you?
More doing design and engineering work.
Okay.
and really uh, helping us put into place the processes that are going to let us be successful at higher scale production.
Gotcha. I mean, and do you foresee if everything, all the stars align, and you begin to hit those numbers, you start hitting 50K plus? Do you foresee expanding to building more manufacturing plants or production facilities?
Yeah, the intended roadmap. I mean, what we're really doing right now is working with Monroe and a couple of other key partners to figure out what is what does the mass production factory look like and what's the mass production version of the product that actually is built in that factory. Once we've got that design done for sort of Arcimoto's factory 2.0, then we want to take that factory design and implement it in regions all over the world, so that we can bring the Arcimoto platform vehicles to markets where it would be an appropriate vehicle, and we think that there are a lot of those.
Right, for sure. Would that also be expanding outside of the U.S., Canada, Mexico?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
primarily so
So North America and
yeah.
Central America.
We think that the Arcimoto platform vehicles will do well in Europe. We think they'll do well in Asia. We think they'll do well in South America. So a lot of it is making sure we have the right thing to put into production on a global level, and then moving as rapidly as we can to do it.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, yeah. It seems like a very good match and a very good partnership with Monroe. That whole setup there.
Well, I really appreciate Sandy and his whole team's philosophy about development, and they've got chops like you wouldn't believe. So we are very thankful to have them on the team.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I know you're expanding and moving and beginning to roll out weekly more FUVs and more units. What does the path to profitability timeline look like, or is that just there's too
Well,
there's too many factors to say?
I think we could, if we were just looking at getting our present low volume production facilities profitable, I think we can do that within the near term time horizon. But at the same time, we're also making big investments on mass production, and so that pushes us out into the couple of years out would be when we would be producing at a much higher volume and starting to see the real rewards of that.
Gotcha. Great. Well, you can see I'm a swag guy. I'm big into swag. I
Right.
like your hat. I like your shirt as well.
We'll hook you
How,
up.
yeah, how do my subscribers get a hold of some Arcimoto swag?
So
Uh,
there's a brand new, this one just came out. So this is kind of the first prototype of our FUV owner's hat. The shirts, we've started to build up quite a stock, and so we're just about to launch a swag store on Arcimoto. So stay tuned on that. Trying to get that out in the next few weeks, and we'll have all sorts of fun merch you can pull down.
Very good, very good. I'm excited about that. Yeah, I think that's about it. We're at about 20 minutes or so. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I really appreciate you being generous enough to kind of on a whim come over here on a random channel like mine. Yeah, it's been a real honor and privilege to chat with you, to meet you today, and I'm very excited for the future of what of Arcimoto and what it all holds.
Well, Jason, I really appreciate you having me on your show, and yeah, man, hit me up whenever. We'll
Sounds
happy to share the updates with you and the community.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, maybe I'll make it out that way, some out west, and
Yeah,
drive one sometime.
definitely got to get you behind the handlebars. We'll figure out a way to make that happen here or there.
Right, and yeah, well, maybe even sooner than that, or maybe somewhere in the very not distant future, you'll be able to get them on the East Coast as well, so we can.
We got our first rentals down in Key West, so that's not too far from you.
There you go. Yeah, maybe a summer vacation, I can go rent one. That'd be very cool.
Nice. Right on.
All right, sir. Well, thank you for your time and have a
Likewise.
great rest of your evening.
You too. Have a great holiday.